Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Nick Cosgrove and I'm joined today by Robyn Schooley. We are on our third Q&A, 3 weeks in a row. Last week I had to do the Q&A on my own due to some technical difficulties, but Robyn is back this week and we're ready to go. So Robyn, when you're ready, let's go with the first question.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, number one. Hi Nick, what do you think of the supplement company Isagenix?
My personal opinion on it, I think it's a pyramid scheme. I don't think that particular supplement company offers any additional benefits than other supplements. I do think it's a pyramid scheme. I've looked at their products. Some of their products are good, I'll give them that, but I think they're overpriced. And one thing that really bothers me is when I see people trying to sell Isagenix on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm sure it bothers you as well. But I do think it's overpriced. So I think you can get the same, I don't want to say the same, but I think you can get the same quality ingredients in other supplements for a quarter of the price. So my final verdict, my final verdict on Isagenix, I don't feel comfortable buying or promoting that to my clients, but that's up to you. But my own personal opinion, I wouldn't waste my time with that.
Yeah, and I have been approached, and I think I've been approached. I think it's been nice, like generally it's all nice people wanting to do something good, and I'm not putting down anyone that has tried it. But with my business background and everything, all that I see is a multi-level marketing, and especially when you sell their products, they want you to buy a system. So right there, like you're not buying a protein powder. You can't say like, well, I'm going to order this today. So it's these together. And if you don't use these together, well, it won't work. You can't just do A, B, or C. It's the lifestyle. It's the everything. And then as soon as you get into that, it's sort of and it takes away that free will too, which is, it's a brilliant business.
It is. It's very smartly done.
But well, and even the way that I'm again not putting down anyone who has approached me, but I know that it was approached me with friendly, and I'm a loser, and I'm like, oh yeah, great, I get to have a friend, and oh, you like my recipe, great, let's talk about it. And then I realized partway through, like, oh, you want to sell me something. And it isn't, and it's good marketing, but that's it. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
I want to just add to that too. We're not putting down Isagenix. It's just that we've both been in this industry for a long time. I mean, as far as the supplement industry is concerned, I always think, when I look at a brand of supplement that I want to buy and I want to support, I look at the ingredients, I look at the quality of the ingredients. And I'm not saying that all of Isagenix is bad, and I don't think Robyn's saying that either. She's just saying the approach and, the pushy sales of it and having your friends and family members trying to sell it online. I think it's kind of cheesy. And again, I don't think all their products are that great, and I think they are overpriced. So again, my opinion on Isagenix, I'm not a big fan of using their products. If you find they work for you, great. Don't try to sell them to us though.
Yeah, I mean, no one product of any sort is going to change your life. Having people in it that are positive, great. But at the end of the day, any life change of any sort has to come from within. Be it it can't, no pill is going to change, no product, no drink. It's stepping stones that we take on our own. Having positive people around us help, but none of that is worthwhile if you're not doing it yourself. And leading us into question number 2, ironically, is Nick, what does your current supplement stack look like?
That's a good follow-up question. My current supplement stack, really, I know it. It's so easy. It's so simple. Currently, I'm taking apple cider vinegar in tab format, in pill format. I'm taking omega-3s, and I'm taking vitamin C and vitamin D. That's it. Why I'm taking that, I'm actually going to put out a video later on this week to explain my supplement stack, so I don't want to get into too many details as to why I take those particular supplements, but that's it, just the basics. And if you're looking for the brand that I use, Kirkland from Costco. That's it. Great brand.
Is everything that you take Kirkland?
I do, yeah. I really
Your apple cider vinegar isn't, is it?
That might be Jameson's. Yeah, you're right. That one might be Jameson's. Robyn knows my supplement stack better than I do. But I do know my brands quite well, and I do support Kirkland brand. I think it's a great brand. And I'm not sponsored by Kirkland. I'm just saying they're a great brand, and I think they're well priced.
No. Okay, number 3, what is the best exercise for building a better butt? Mine is starting to look flat. I get this question.
Did you send in this question?
No, my butt isn't. Are you saying that I have a flat butt?
No, no, never, never. Yeah, that's a question I get asked by a lot of my female clients. Number one, I know it sounds boring, but I'm going to say squat. So if you're not squatting, I don't think you're going to build a butt. That to me is the foundation. Before you start doing the glute kickbacks and the bend sidewalks and all these fancy things, I think squat's number one. Now, with that said, if you are squatting, I think you can incorporate. I always think hip thrusts are the second best exercise. I don't think they're better than squats though. So if I could only choose between the two exercises, I would take squats, deep squats, and then I would take hip thrusts. But I think hip thrusts are a great exercise for building up the glutes. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I've had this question numerous times to Nick as I'm walking around the house and judging myself and trying to smush things into different places and where I want them to be. Nick is always wonderful, and I'll put that out there right now. He's never said one negative thing to me about the way I look ever. But I often ask this question. One thing that you come back all the time with me is also walking lunges.
Yeah.
And that is a big, I notice when I do those on a regular basis too.
Yeah.
It's a really easy thing, and especially when we're talking about at-home exercises, a walking lunge, like even without weight, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, hold on a second. I want to add to that too. I know we're going in depth on these questions.
Sorry,
but
this is your thing, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to add into that with walking lunges. Most people think that's a quadricep exercise, and it is. It's primarily quads, but I agree with Robyn. I think it's a great glute exercise. It really ties in the glutes and the hams. And I've done lunges, walking lunges from day one. That's always a staple in my leg program. I think they're up there with squats. So I know a lot of guys don't like doing walking lunges. They think, oh, it's a woman's exercise. But look at most women's legs. They've got better legs than the guys. So guys, pay attention. Do what the women are doing in the gym if you want to grow your legs.
Yeah, and the wider okay, number 4, sorry. Hey, Nick, what is your opinion on people working outside during COVID-19?
So I don't get that. I mean, everyone's so against the gyms, and I do understand why the gyms had to close. But then I look outside and I see groups of 20 exercising in the park. I'm like, well, now you're just doing the same thing outside. They're not even practicing social distancing. They're literally on top of each other. I have no problem with if you're working out in a park and you're secluded on your own, you're not around a bunch of people, and you're doing some push-ups and sit-ups on maybe a yoga mat. But I mean, if you're in a group of 5 or 6 people, that to me is no better than being in the gym. If you're running on the seawall, your sweat comes off your body and hits somebody. I mean, again, that to me is not any, more better than training inside a gym. So I'm not against, I want people to exercise during COVID-19, of course, but I don't want you to be exercising in large groups because that defeats the purpose. You're doing the same thing. So I think it's good to do some term exercise. I personally would rather people do it inside their own houses.
Yeah.
If you have to go outside, I mean, make sure you're in a secluded area, far away from people. You're not doing anyone good if you're running on the seawall and you're hitting people, or you're brushing up against people, or you're at the art gallery. I think I told you this, but last week I saw a group of 10 people at the art gallery doing like all these crazy workouts, exercises, and they were all on top of each other. That's not any better.
Yeah. I think the order is pretty clear right now. It's stay at home.
Yeah.
And I get all of it, but it's go outside to clear your head for a walk, leave as necessary as possible. The longer that we follow that, the quicker we'll get to the next phase.
I agree.
So I don't know, like this is coming from my medical information. And those people that we are banging the pots and pans for at 7 p.m., it's not exercise outside, because you also have to track where you've been. And even if you're off by a meter, or off by a block or whatever, you don't know who's been infected and what's been left there, because part of the thing is transmission that you don't realize that you're leaving, because it stays on surfaces.
Yeah.
And a mask doesn't replace the order. Stay at home. Leave as necessary. If you need to go for a walk, if you need to clear your head, go for it. But it's not exercise outside.
Yeah.
Like, track where you've been, track where it's going. And the quicker we'll get to phase 2.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry, I'll stop answering.
No, no,
Sorry.
I want you to answer. That's great.
Okay,
That's
no,
a
no,
great
no.
answer.
Okay, number five. Well, no, I'm a 35-year-old male, and I have heard that soy is bad for your health. Is this true?
Absolutely not true. No. Uh, it's funny because when I first started training, I used to hear soy, tofu, all these things would lower my testosterone count, and I believed it. I personally don't consume soy, but I know for a fact it does not decrease men's testosterone levels. That is a myth. There's no science backing that. I work with a lot of vegetarians, some are men, and they have no problems with their testosterone levels. One of my clients actually had his testosterone levels checked back in October of last year. They were fine. Actually, they were higher than normal.
Hmm.
And he's on a full vegetarian diet, has lots of tofu, lots of soy. So no, that's a misconception. There are some studies that have linked soy to prostate cancer. Now that's a little bit different. But again, I mean, how much soy are you consuming? If you're worried that it's going to lower your testosterone levels, though, show me a study that proves that. There's none. You're not going to find a single study that actually proves
Yeah.
that. I've looked.
Okay. This is true, extensively. Number six. Hey Nick, what other sports were you interested in growing up?
When I was growing up, I was really interested in hockey, but
Yeah.
we didn't have very much money, and hockey is a really expensive sport. So I started playing like the pickup soccer games where all the little kids play. I wasn't very good at soccer though, and then luckily enough, I was able to play hockey at one point, and I was able to play goalie because back when I played, goalie didn't cost anything to play. Nobody wanted to be a goalie, so you could play for free as long as you played goalie. So I played goalie for a few years, got pretty good at it, but then decided it wasn't really for me. I wasn't going to become a pro or anything. So I started doing a lot of weight training to stay in shape for hockey. And I fell in love with the gym over the hockey and said, well, hockey wasn't for me anymore. So I went towards bodybuilding instead. But yeah, I would say probably hockey and soccer were my two main sports growing up.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to get into this later on, I do know a bit of personal information that what he is saying about getting good at hockey and so on is a mild step, and there were actually quite a few other maybe professional interests in Nick uh, throughout his high school years. And this is maybe something that people might want to ask you about at another time, because I know that you tend to back away on anything that's putting you up positive. So we will just move on to number seven before you start dismissing it. Okay, number seven. I lift weights 5 times a week. How much protein should I consume in order to build muscle?
Okay. So without knowing your weight or without knowing, you train 5 times a week, I don't know what type of training this person is doing. What I usually do with one of my clients is I'll say, okay, first off, I'll look at their weight. I'll say, okay, someone's 150 pounds. What I'll typically do if I'm doing a nutritional plan, I'll take their amount of weight and I'll times that by 1.5 to get their grams. Okay, so if someone's 150 pounds and they're training 5 times a week, that's a lot of weightlifting. I'll usually start them off at maybe anywhere from 200 to 250 grams of protein. Again, depending on their activity level. I don't believe in doing too much protein. I think that protein is one of the most misunderstood macronutrients next to carbohydrates. I think people think that they need an abundance amount of protein to build muscle, and that's not true either. I've had people do 1 gram per pound of weight. So it depends on your activity level. As far as if you're training 5 times a week in the gym though, that's a lot of training. So you're probably going to want to consume, I would say 1.5 times per pound of body weight. So again, if you're 150 pounds, you look at that threshold anywhere from 200 to 250 grams. That's where I'd start and see your results from there. But don't go too much, because you got to remember, too much protein is very hard on the kidneys too. So you have to be careful with that.
Okay, number 8. Who were your idols growing up?
I actually only had one idol growing up, and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I know a lot of people don't like Arnold. I know he gets a bad rep, but yeah, I idolized him growing up as a kid. In the 1980s, he was the man. I wanted to be just like Arnold, and I think, like I said before, where I learned most of my bodybuilding exercises was from Arnold. Not magazines or anything like that. It was actually just from Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I was talking about that with Lance on Friday, and that's where he started too. One of my friends, I think guys my age, a lot of us went to that book. Came out in the early 80s, late 70s, and that's all we had. And yeah, so I idolized Arnold, and I wanted to be like Arnold. So I didn't want to be an action star, but I definitely wanted to have his physique.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I can say there's a book that's been well read many of times. Um, and it's rather bendable. Okay. Sorry, I lost my place. Number 9. Hey, Nick, should I be taking apple cider vinegar? I hear it has lots of health benefits.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I take it. I used to take it in the vinegar, right? I used to put it on my food. And I stopped doing that because I found out that's not that good for your teeth. So I started taking it in pill format.
Mhm.
But yeah, it has numerous health benefits. I do recommend it to all my clients. Usually, when I'm doing a supplement plan for someone, I base it on what they need. I talk to them, ask questions. Hopefully, they have blood work to give me. I say, okay, well, you're deficient in this or that. But usually, apple cider vinegar, that along with vitamin C, are two supplements that I say take year round. I think there's so many health benefits. I mean, most people, if you've researched apple cider vinegar, you know the health benefits. There's so many. We could make a whole episode on those benefits. But I use it, and I know Robyn uses it as well. You're a believer in using it as well.
I take it in vinegar form because I think it's important to have it in the raw with the bacteria, so
Yeah,
an organic with the mother still in
yeah,
it. The
yeah,
mother is that little goopy gunk you see at the bottom of the bottle. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
the biggest benefit that you can get from it is as a probiotic for the digestive system.
yeah, you're right. And I mean,
Yeah.
like Robyn said, she takes it in the vinegar format. I like to take it in tab format. I mean, it's up to you how you want to take it. If you feel
Yeah.
like the vinegar works better for you, great. But again, yeah, I think it's a staple.
Yeah.
I think it's a staple to put in any supplement
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
plan. Next
Number
question.
10. Hi. Number 10. Hi, Nick. Is coffee bad for you?
No, I think caffeine gets a really bad rep, and bad rap. Sorry, um, I'm not a big caffeine consumer, but unless you have a heart condition, I don't think coffee's gonna kill you. Again, though, if you're doing like 8 or 9 espressos a day, that's not good for your heart. That puts a lot of work on your
Yeah.
heart. So, I mean, if you're just having like a cup of coffee, 2 or 3 a day, 50 milligrams of caffeine, no, that's not going to do anything to you. I mean, I know people drinking like 5 or 6 Red Bulls a day. That's not good.
Oh.
But coffee itself, no, coffee has actually been proven to have a lot of health benefits as well. But I wouldn't exceed, personally, I wouldn't recommend exceeding more than 300 to 350 milligrams of caffeine a day. So to give you an idea, I think a Starbucks Grande is about 50 milligrams. So that gives you a lot of
Yeah.
coffee if you're an addict. But I personally don't think coffee is bad for you. No,
Mm. Everything in moderation, including moderation.
exactly.
Julia Child. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Number 11. Do do you and Robyn follow the exact same diet?
No, no, we do for some foods. I mean, Robyn has a lot more variety in her diet. I mean, if you look at the posts that I put on my Instagram and Facebook, you look at her meals that she makes. She's very creative in the kitchen. I'm not very creative in the kitchen. One of the things I tell all my clients is you don't need to eat the way I eat. I'm very robotic with my food. I think, okay, just feed the machine. I'm pretty boring. I mean, I can stick to the same meals day in, day out. She's a little bit more creative. And talking about diet, I mean, giving people an
Well,
idea of
I
what.
eat
So
primarily vegetarian too.
I was gonna say. So I was gonna
Yeah,
say, give people an idea as to why you eat like that, though. I mean, your diet does change.
I know. It does. It change. So, um, I have some severe colon issues, major digestion problems. I have since I like day one,
Yeah,
um, and through my entire life, we've gone like what you would call elimination. So you take out, take out, take out, bring back in, bring back in. And as everybody else, you change. You can change in a month what's going on, stress, different things. Sometimes you'll see me making a lot of soups, and it's just because I really can't digest.
yeah,
So, and I pack it with as much goodness as I can get.
you do.
So instead of just having a soup where it's like broth and pasta or something which is delicious, like I'm going to throw as much green in there. I'm going to throw as much vitamin and vegetable and protein in there that I can get. Because when you're not well, a good diet can make a whole world of a difference.
Yeah,
And and I love food.
yeah,
So Nick and I do differ in the sense of like, I feel like every time you eat, it can be a little like, I feel like, again, we've talked about this, but I feel like you should honor that food in a weird way of giving it it's come from, whether or not something's died for it or whether or not it's come out of the ground or whatever, just, we're lucky to have it. So treat it with, it's fueling us, and it doesn't just have to be shit on the plate.
Yeah, and I want to add to that too.
Okay, sorry.
No, I want to add to that. So one of the things, because people do ask me about Robyn's diet, and I say her diet has evolved over the years. It changes based on how she feels. My diet doesn't really evolve very much. I'm lucky. I have like an iron stomach. I can eat anything, and I go to bed on a full stomach. I have no digestive issues. Knock on wood, it stays like that.
Yeah,
but
you eat very clean though.
I do eat very clean, but at the same time, I don't venture out to I don't do like fast food or anything like that. That doesn't do it for me. But with her, I know from knowing her all these years that her diet basically has to change on how she feels. So 1 month she could be eating chicken, but then for 6 months straight, there's no chicken. So it's really interesting how she comes up with those meals because they are healthy and they're very creative. I mean, a lot of the things that she makes, you're not going to find an Instagram star making. She's not a chef or anything like that. She just comes up with a lot of this stuff in her head.
Okay. Anyways, but no, very different meals. Sometimes we'll have a dinner and then we'll eat the same thing, or I get on a kick and I make him eat it, but no, very, very different. Okay, number 12. How can I get rid of this fat around my abdominal or midsection?
Okay, yeah. That's another question I get asked by new clients quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there is no such thing as spot reduction. Most people know that. So you can't go to the gym and do a bunch of crunches, leg lifts, and bicycles, and some cardio and think, oh, I'm going to get a six-pack. It doesn't work like that. I said this last week on the show too. A lot of this has to do with diet. I had a nutritionist on the show a few weeks ago, and she was talking about gut health. And one of the things you have to look at is your gut health, and also like the foods that you are eating. I mean, yes, diet's important, but I mean, if you're eating a very high carbohydrate diet and you're not, burning those calories, you're going to gain fat. And unfortunately, you don't get to choose where you gain that fat. Some people gain fat in their midsection, some in their lower back, some in their butt, some in their thighs. That's your genetics. Your genetics are your genetics. So don't fight your genetics. Work with your genetics. So if you know that guys, especially guys, as we get older, we tend to get that layer of fat in our midsection. I know you myself, that's where I'll put the body fat on if I let myself go. So I just look at the overall diet. I don't just look at that one area. And I say, okay, am I getting a little too chunky? And then I cut back on my carbs or my fats, maybe do a little bit of cardio. But I don't just focus on one specific area and think, okay, I got to target that area. I'm going to train it harder and, and just see what happens, because nothing will happen.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's good. Number 13, and it's a long one, so bear with me. It's a two-parter. I put on some weight during COVID-19 and plan on hiring a personal trainer once the gyms reopen in order to lose weight quickly. Do you have any suggestions as to questions I should ask them? And should I ask, and what to look for when hiring a trainer?
When hiring a trainer, I think it's the same thing as when you're hiring anyone for a service. The first thing you should ask for are references. Or look on the website, look for testimonials from real people. Even ask the trainer, hey, do you mind if I contact some of your clients and just ask them for feedback? So you're dealing with real people, not fake followers or any of this nonsense, like real people who've actually experienced great results, great service with that trainer. I'd also look at the education of that trainer. Look at the certification and then, research that certification, because there's a lot of trainers out there walking around with a certification that they got in a weekend. To me, I think, you got to put in your time. You got to know your anatomy. You got to know your physiology. You got to know all that. And a weekend course, you're not going to learn that. So, I look for someone who has a good certification, something like, BCRPA, ACE is a pretty good certification, something that you actually have to go and you have to take courses for. You have to really study to pass these tests. I wouldn't just take something and I wouldn't also work with someone who, just because someone is really experienced, just because someone's been doing this for a long time, doesn't necessarily mean they're a good trainer. Even myself personally, I picked up bad habits over the years, and that's why I constantly continue to educate myself, because there's theories that are outdated. So if you're one of those trainers that's stuck in the 1990s and still giving your clients exercises that we know are dangerous or not nearly as effective, or prescribing diets that are dangerous, you're not a good trainer. So don't just base it on experience. I would base it on, if it were me personally, I'd say, hey, I want references and I want education. So those are the two things I look for.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing you've always said is like most of your clients you've got from recommendations, and that's a
Yeah,
great way. And that's not always possible. So if, you know, anyone that's serious will have a website as you do, or most people, and ask their clients. You know,
yeah, yeah.
it's there. It's when you're buying a home, like find out, you know, you've got stuff in the strata minutes or the
Yeah.
previous owners, or you know.
Do
Anyways,
But I
sorry.
just want to add to that too. Sorry, do your
Yeah.
research.
Do your due
Shame on,
diligence. Yeah.
yeah. If you're working with a trainer that's showing up late for your sessions, or you don't feel is really answering your questions correctly, or is just not really giving it all or is under undivided attention during your sessions, and you're still
Mhm.
working with that trainer, shame on you. You're just as bad as the trainer then. I mean, you should be asking for quality, good service. Don't settle for mediocre, training styles or these trainers. Like, no cookie cutter plans. If you do want to be the
Mhm.
best, you have to work with the best. Period.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Number 14. I've heard you mention that you don't count calories when designing nutritional plans for your clients. Why is that?
So pretty much, I want to say every single person that works with me is training with weights. I don't really work with cardio queens or kings. I work with people who you build muscle and lose fat. Therefore, calories to me are irrelevant. I do, however, count macronutrients. I want to fuel the body properly for the resistance training, but at the same time, I don't want to spill over and cause excessive weight gain. So there's a fine balance. But I don't follow calories because I don't believe a calorie is a calorie. I don't believe in if it fits your macros diet or any of that stuff. I really focus on the quality, the micronutrients, the quality of the foods that you're consuming. So yeah, to answer that question, I believe that if your goal is to build muscle and lose fat, you should be focused more on the macronutrient count, not the calories.
Hmm. Yeah. But I'm just going to throw it in there. You said about the not working with cardio queens. You have trained people to that are doing marathons, the race and whistler, the
Yeah, the
like
Tough
the
Mudder. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like the I would say that like even the which I wouldn't, yeah, just to not put yourself out of the running. You do the marathons, full marathon, like half marathons, people that are like you train people that have climbed mountains and so on. So I wouldn't say that you wouldn't be without cardio queens per se. Like it's not all bodybuilding, just not to get people
well,
confused.
resistance training doesn't mean bodybuilding. I mean, all those people that
No,
I'm
I know, but I didn't. Yeah, sorry.
sorry, no, just let me finish. All those people that are training, I've trained for Tough Mudder, I trained a few guys for Ironman before. It's a lot of
Mhm.
cardiovascular,
Yeah,
but you need to
exactly.
incorporate the resistance training as well.
Yeah.
And again, even, okay, let's say you're not even doing any resistance training. If you're going to do an Ironman, you're going to need to fuel your body properly. So if you're in a caloric deficit to get ready for an Ironman, good luck. You're not going to last. So, I'm not a believer in the calorie counting. I don't like the Jenny Craig or the Weight Watchers or any of that. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
And I tell people that from day one. I say, that's not what I do. So if someone's looking for that, I'm not the trainer for them.
No. Okay. And personally, I think it gives you a bit of a eating disorder or things when you start every time that you look a meal, you start doing calculations in your head.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. Sorry. Um, Number 15. Hi, Nick. What are your thoughts on using belts and lifting straps in the gym?
Megan's going to kill me if she hears this.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
so my associate Megan Williamson, who I work with, she's not a big believer in using belts and straps, whereas I am. I find there's certain lifts where I feel more powerful, especially if I'm squatting a heavy weight. I just like that extra security from a belt. If I'm rowing a certain way, I like to have that grip. I don't want to think, oh, my grip's going to go. I don't like
Mm.
chalk. So yeah, I like using the belt just for certain movements like squats or leg press, heavy movements where my lumbar region is supported. Just gives me that extra confidence. I'm not relaxing my core. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
okay, I feel a little bit more confident with that back support. And I'm a big fan of using the grabbers. I mean, I promote them on our Instagram page all the time. That is probably the only training accessory that I believe in. Besides the belt, which I use just once a week for squats. But the
Yeah.
training grabbers I like to use for everything, and Robyn uses them as well. And
Hmm.
we're not trying to make a sale here. I mean, they do work well. I don't want to have to worry about my grip if I'm doing an exercise. And I also have some clients who have like arthritis or tendonitis and they use them and they find that they work wonders for their grip, because that's usually the first thing to go on people like that when they're training weights. It's usually their forearm extensors or their hands. So the grabbers work really well, or a pair of lifting straps. So I do like using them. But I know there's a lot of people that are against them. But if you're asking, again, my opinion, I recommend using straps for sure. And belt, depending on how much you're squatting, but once a week stuff, I don't think it's going to hurt your results.
Yeah. And I find, and I have no knowledge behind this, but I find it, having arthritis in my hands, it allows me to be able to do the exercises.
Yeah. Shameless promo.
It's not, and I don't, it allows me to be able to do the exercises. No, it doesn't help me strengthen my grip. That has to be worked on separately. But I used to not be able to hold on to a bar and do a certain thing because my hands would go before I could even finish the exercise.
Right.
So that's where I like it, because it allows me to do an exercise I couldn't do prior.
Yeah.
And again, I have no knowledge behind this. Megan, please don't get mad at me either.
No. Megan will have something to say about this, guaranteed.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Number 16. Nick, how many days before a competition do you start cutting your water?
I don't cut my water. I cut my water. So if the show is on Saturday morning, let's say the morning show is at 9 a.m., I'll usually cut my water usually around 6 or 7 on Friday night. It's funny because when I first started bodybuilding, there was all these old school train of thoughts that you have to start cutting your water on Wednesday for a Saturday show. Well, when you think about that, muscle is 80% water. So you start cutting your water, the time you get to the stage, you're going to look very flat on stage. So what I've learned over the years with my own body is I'll cut my water usually around 6 or 7 at night. And then I'll sip on water throughout the night and in the morning. Like you can ask Robyn, she's gone to so many shows. I don't drink any water. I do sip on water. For females though, with women, I don't usually cut their water at all. Maybe I'll cut their water the morning of the show. The guys a little bit different, but I find actually women that look a little bit better with a little bit more water. So again, it depends on the person I'm working with. Usually I'll do a trial run with them a week or two before the show just to see how they, the water manipulates their body, how they look. But with women, I usually cut it the morning of the show. And with guys, I usually cut it just the night before and allow it to sit throughout the night if needed.
Yeah, no, it definitely, you do a good job with it. I think our first show that we ever did together, or that not me, well, I was with Nick while he did a show. I remember there was a point where there's a morning show and a night show, and he was in between the two shows and he was so depleted and so drained. And I looked over, and this is just what your body does without water, different things. And he's got his tan and every vein is going out and he's sleeping and his eyes are open and they're tearing.
Yeah.
It was one of the hardest. I had to go in the other room and cry because you feel like the person's ill.
Yeah.
But it was, something that you're pushing for, and I have great respect. But it was definitely, it's amazing what you see the difference between water and not water in the body. Yeah.
And the show that Robyn's referring to, that was actually my earlier years competing too. And I made tons of mistakes, and that was a big mistake. And that was from probably cutting my water for Thursday for a Saturday show. So it goes to show you that, and I don't even think I placed very well in that show. Maybe I placed 3rd or 4th. So I don't think it's to your advantage to cut your water too early. And I think it's really, really dangerous, especially if you start adding in diuretics. So I think that's a big mistake. If you're working with a coach who wants to cut your water too early, I would question that coach. In my own experience, I don't find cutting water 2 or 3 days early has any benefits. In fact, it's more dangerous than anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 17. Hi, Nick. Does the keto diet work?
Short term, yes. Long term, no. So a lot of people love the keto diet because they feel great on it. They lose all this weight so quickly, and then it's addictive. They're like, man, this diet's the best. I'm always energized. I'm always full. And I'm losing 2-3 pounds a week. Now, I know this from experience because I've done the keto diet myself. As soon as you come off that diet, or even when you start reintroducing carbohydrates, what happens is your body has become so sensitive to carbohydrates, the weight starts to come on, and it comes on fast. I remember one year, my good friend Dan Murphy and I, we did a show, and he'll tell you too, we did keto for 16 weeks. We looked, in my opinion, half decent on stage. We did pretty well, but I think we would have done well on a low carb diet as well. But after the show, both of us, we put on a crazy amount of weight within the first 2-3 weeks. And I can tell you right now, it was not muscle, it was water and fat. So my opinion on a keto diet, I think it has its places. You know, they've shown that for people with MS or even for diabetics, there are some places for the keto diet. But if you're using it for weight loss, I think you're just, sorry, but I think you're screwing yourself in the long term, because you're just really slowing down your metabolism and making it very sensitive to carbohydrates. People will argue and say your body doesn't need carbohydrates. I disagree with that. I think you do need carbohydrates for your brain, just like you need fats for your brain. I think carbs, fats, and protein are all needed. I don't think you should take any macronutrient out of your diet for too long.
Yeah. Okay. Smart. Number 18. What is the most weight you have ever lost getting ready for a show?
2014. I think I put a video out on YouTube about it, actually, not on our channel. Maybe I should. I'm really skinny. I think you've seen that video. I think I went into my contest prep at about 205 pounds, and I ended up on stage at 143 pounds. So I lost close to 60 pounds. And I did that in probably about very quickly to 10 weeks. I'm pretty strict when I diet for a show. I get ready for shows pretty quickly. I just think I over dieted for that show, and I looked terrible. I really did. I looked really, really scrawny and skinny. I had no body fat on me, but I mean, I looked terrible. And you know, I thought I was going to win. I'm like, man, I'm shredded to the bone, but no, I didn't look good. And so yeah, I made, again, trial and error, right? You make these mistakes along the way. But I thought I would go in really lean for that show, and it just was a disaster. So yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, okay. Number 19, and please bear with me, I'm not great at reading out loud, and we've got a little bit of a longer question.
They're long questions.
I usually train at 6 a.m. in the morning, and my coach has told me that I need to eat before I train with weights for energy. However, every time I eat something prior to weight training, I feel nauseous during my workout. Is it necessary to eat prior to lifting weights?
No. So again, when I first started training people, I used to say, you have to eat before you train. You have to, because that's what we're told. But now I started working with clients who train with me at 5, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. They wake up, they're not hungry right away. And then they have that oatmeal or they have that cream of rice, and yeah, they're eating good food, but they come to the gym and like this person, you know, their body hasn't digested it quickly enough. So then they get nauseous and they start to feel, you know, not very good during the workout. So what I do with my clients is this. I ask them when I first start working with someone, how's your metabolism? Like, do you digest food quickly, or does it take you a little bit longer to digest food? Most people know, you know, like, you know, I can't eat before I go for a run, or I can't eat before I go for a swim. They know. Then if they don't know, then it's a trial and error again. So for example, I work with a lot of people at 5, 6 in the morning. Most of those people don't eat anything because they still have the food in them from the night before. They're not waking up completely depleted. Now, when I train with people, say at 9 or 10 or 11 in the morning, most of those people have something small or large, again, depending on the metabolism. But I've noticed over the years that some of my clients actually train better in a fasted state. So I don't want to sit there and go, yes, you need to eat pre-workout. No. If you have a slower metabolism though, and you don't digest food as quickly, and let's say you're training at, say, 11 o'clock in the morning, have something small. I do recommend having carbs pre-workout. I'm not a big fan of having fats because it slows down the digestion even further. So usually like slow acting carb source like oatmeal, cream of rice, Ezekiel bread, and some protein, maybe some protein powder or egg whites pre-workout. That usually works pretty good. But if you're working out at 6 in the morning and you're waking up at, say, 5 a.m. or 5:30 to get to the gym, I don't think it's necessary to eat. No, if you train better in a fasted state, keep training in a fasted state.
Okay, number 20. You mentioned in a recent blog that you don't do deadlifts in the gym. Could you elaborate on as to why you don't perform deadlifts?
Deadlifts for me have never felt right. I think the risk to benefit ratio, I think there's a higher risk to benefit ratio. I've never liked doing deadlifts. They bother my back, they bother my hamstrings. I've never felt comfortable. And once I do them, my lower back is sore for 4 or 5 days, which I know a lot of people say, well, that's great. Well, not if I want to squat, not if I want to do straight leg deadlifts for my hamstrings. There's a lot of exercises, T-bar rows, bent over barbell rows that I like to do that require me to bend over. Also, I'm training clients all day. So I kind of cut deadlifts probably when I was like 17 or 18. I haven't done them since. I never noticed anything that they took away from my physique. They just didn't work for me. So that's why I tell clients, I'm like, not every exercise is for every person. Just because people say you have to squat, you have to deadlift, you have to bench press, no, you don't. I know people who develop great legs from not squatting and great chests from not benching. So you have to assess what works for you. And yeah, deadlifts have just never worked for me. Now, I don't tell people don't do deadlifts. I have clients that do deadlifts. But for me, I just don't find them beneficial.
Okay, number 21. If you could only eat 3 foods for a month, what would they be and why?
I pretty much do only eat 3 foods, so it's not that hard of a question. Okay, but if I had to choose like 3 foods only, I would choose oatmeal for my carbs, peanut butter for my fats, and either a whey isolate or egg whites for my protein. Probably the whey isolate because I'm not a big fan of egg whites. I just don't like the taste of egg whites. But egg whites are a great protein source. I don't really like them. But yeah, those would be my 3 foods. And I could live off that quite well. I'd be happy.
I think you have.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Okay, number 22. I'm trying to lose weight and have been told to eliminate fruit from my diet. Isn't fruit healthy though?
Yeah, fruit is healthy. Now, okay, so here's a perfect example. So Robyn actually consumes quite a bit of fruit. I, on the other hand, don't eat fruit. I come from that bodybuilder mentality that fruit is bad, but fruit is actually not bad. I put fruit on people's diets all the time. But one thing that you got to watch with fruit is the sugar. So things like mangoes, papaya, pineapple, those things are very high. Yeah, grapes, perfect example. Those things are very high in sugar. So when I put fruits on someone's nutritional plan, I tend to stick to the lower sugar foods, maybe apple, pear, banana, blueberries. Blueberries are my favorite one. Yeah. Blueberries are without a doubt my favorite fruit I like to include for most people. It's a good antioxidant, and it's also very low in sugar. So, berries are really good like that, especially blueberries. So it's not that I'm against the fruit. I don't think fruit's bad at all. I think it has its place. I just personally don't eat fruit. But if I were, I'd be eating things like blueberries or banana. And those are usually pretty safe bets. But Robyn eats fruit all the time. But they're good fruit.
Well, I mean, yeah. Pineapple is my favorite. Every year we have a birthday pineapple. And that's been it's the birthday pineapple. Yeah. It's the best treat you find. It's lovely. Yeah.
Instead of a cake, she wants me to stick a candle in a pineapple. So, and I do, and she has it. She likes that, but she's not doing pineapple every day. So, again, and she's not doing that because of the sugar.
Oh, I could go. Okay, sorry. Number 23. Hi, Nick. I'm a personal trainer, and I'm trying to build up my client base. Do you have any suggestions on how I should go about doing this?
Work your ass off and network. When I first started, a lot of people don't know this, but I've never worked for a gym. I started as an independent contractor, and I built up my clientele by giving free sessions. I worked in clubs, I worked in restaurants. So I just built it up from networking with people in the gym. I say, let me help you with that. I offer them a free session. Then they want to do another session. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to charge you this. Now, if you're just starting off, you can't just go walk in the door and start charging $120 an hour. It doesn't work like that. You've got to build up your clientele, and your clients, if they're happy with the results, they're going to be your marketing for you. They're going to market your services. So all these people who spend all this money on, Facebook ads and Instagram posts and all these things, yeah, I understand, but at the same time, at the end of the day, your clients will market for you if you provide them a good service. So if you're going to try to build up a clientele, I would say network yourself. Don't rely on just doing social media. Go out there and meet people, talk to people. Be nice to people. Don't be that asshole in the gym who's like, I'm a bodybuilder. I don't want to talk to you. I'm too good. No, and be very open-minded too. You're going to work with people who don't necessarily want to put on a lot of muscle. You're going to work with people who just want to do leg days. You have got to cater towards your client. So that's what I would say is work with what the client wants, not what you want.
No, and I think your retention of clients is something just because of what you're saying as well.
That's important too, but I've got great clients. I'm very fortunate to have the people I work with. I've had a lot of my clients who've worked with me for over 15 years now. And yeah, maybe that is a testament to my service, but it's also, they're very loyal. And, I
Mhm.
love working with every single one of my clients. And yeah, I mean, we even after 15 years, we still find new things for them to do and challenge them each workout, so it doesn't
Yeah.
get stale.
Yes. Okay, number, where are we? 24. Hey, Nick, do you train women the same way that you train men?
For the most part, yes, I do. I mean, there's some exercises that I might give to some of my female clients that I don't give to some of my male clients, but you can ask every single one of my female clients, and they'll tell you, I still make them train chest. I mean, I shouldn't say I make them train chest, but I explain to them the benefits of training chest. So a lot of women, for example, they don't want to train, their chest, or they don't want their arms to get too big. But once you explain that that's not going to happen and explain why
Mhm.
it's not going to happen, most women are open to the idea of training those muscle groups. Now, I might give a little bit more emphasis to glutes, hamstrings, and thighs than I do for the guys. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, I train a lot of couples together, and they get the same workouts. So, yeah, I think it's fine to. I don't see any reason why a man has to train differently than a woman does.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes there's a few things that I like different than
Yeah,
you, or I'll skip a chest day and add a like glute focus day or something like that. But like in the month, but it
yeah.
doesn't mean I don't do that all month. Like but generally, yeah.
But here,
Um,
let me just. When you skip that chest day, you'll usually add on one or two chest exercises to a shoulder day.
yes,
So you won't
yes,
go the
yeah,
whole week
exactly.
without doing chest.
No, no.
So I mean,
I'll
that's what
just
I.
I'll just do a lighter, like just a one or two, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, uh, but yeah, no, I mean,
I,
this is your area, you know.
Well, I think there's a common theme that guys don't train their legs hard enough and women don't train their upper body hard enough. And
Mhm.
I kind of agree with that in some sense when I look at commercial gyms. Like if I've gone to a Steve Nash, which is a training facility here in Vancouver, British Columbia, I'll go there and I'll see all the women training legs and I'll see all the guys training upper body. Like something doesn't look right here. So I think it's important to train every single muscle group. And if you are lacking, like say you're lacking, let's say quads, you want to bring your quads up more. Maybe give them a little bit more focus, but I wouldn't say I'm only going to train my quads 5, 6 days a week because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Mm,
That's overtraining.
sure, yeah. Great answer. Okay, number 25. I've read that it's impossible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. Do you agree with this statement?
Disagree. Disagree 100%. That's bro science. So the whole idea of putting on muscle is you have to be in a caloric surplus, and to lose fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit. So, okay, there are some truths to both of those statements, but I mean, if you're training hard and you're fueling your body properly, there should be no reason why you can't put on muscle and burn fat at the same time. I've done it myself,
Mhm.
and I've done it with countless clients over the years. And what happens is when we're doing their weekly weigh-ins, sometimes the weight doesn't drop, but I'll look, yeah, but your waist looks a lot smaller. What are your pants like? Oh yeah, my pants are loose or my shirt is loose. I'm like, your body composition changes. So even though the number on the scale might not be changing dramatically, the way you look is. So that's why I do tell people you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. And I know there's going to be hundreds of people out there say, no, you can't, no, you can't. But I've seen it done, and I've done it with numerous people. So yes, you can. It's all about nutrition, though. Nutrition and training. Okay, proper nutrition, proper training.
Yeah. Okay, number 26. Hi, Nick. What's your opinion on the if it fits your macros diet for weight loss?
I think I talked about that earlier. Yeah, I'm against it. I
Yeah.
wrote some blogs probably about 2, 3 years ago. I think I dedicated like 3 or 4 blogs just to that diet. Again, it comes back to the quality of your foods. I mean, if you're looking at, yeah, I can eat that slice of cheesecake and then I can have that brownie and then I can have that muffin and hey, I'm fitting my macronutrient allowance for the day. Great, you're not going to put on weight, but what is that doing to your intestinal tract, your organs? I mean, I
Yeah.
always had that thing of, you eat like shit, you're gonna look like shit. You're gonna feel like shit too. So why? I mean, I'm not a big fan of that diet. I can understand why people would do it because they think it's flexible, but you can still eat flexible by eating healthy foods. Healthy foods doesn't mean that you have to restrict yourself from enjoying your food. We eat healthy all the time, and I mean, I like the food we eat. And people say, "Oh, you guys eat boring. You have no taste buds." But no, I mean, and I like the food I eat, and I always feel good. I always feel energized. I don't have to rely on stimulants. I don't get that 1 o'clock in the afternoon crash. I don't eat that sugar craving, in the afternoon like most people get.
Hmm.
So I think I'm against that diet. I don't think it's a good diet to follow. I do understand why people promote that diet, but I've never believed in that diet, and I don't put any of my clients on that diet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you eat enough rec that might fit into a macro, and you do that for enough years, like you might be building the muscle and looking good, but then when 50, 60, 70 comes along and you can't start, your body stops letting you escape certain things, you're going to build like that.
Yeah,
Like if you make choices along the way, they're all pilots up, like they're all building blocks. All of our
sure.
diet, all of it's building blocks, and some are irreversible, but some aren't. Like it's amazing, even in your 70s, 80s, 90s, and like clients that you have in their 90s, build like body changes to the point of cellulite change. If you're eating crappy food, you might still have muscle and so on, but you're going to have that weird cellulite thing that
Yeah,
you just can't get rid of, or skin that won't respond the same way, or so on.
that's right.
And we're not talking all looks, but that just the way you feel, it is, you might still be physically like muscular and with a thin, lean, nice body, but just, maybe good bones, but like just covered in shit. Like I think of a house that has like, okay, it's sturdy, but like the paint is falling off and doing whatever. You're not going to sell that house
Yeah,
for. It might be standing up great, but it looks like it that little rut on the side is going to take down the entire value.
yeah. And you know what they say with looks can be deceiving, and I can tell you from
Yeah,
competing against lots of bodybuilders who've had crazy, amazing physiques, they're not the healthiest people. Let's
yeah,
take the drugs out of
and
it, and let's
longevity
just
of life.
longevity.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, take the drugs away from the sport for a second. Or I see what some of these guys eat in their off season and say, "Well, I'm bulking, bro," and I'm like, "You're not bulking. You're putting crap in your body, and you might look good, but you're feeding your body garbage." And I just wanted to remind people, even though I do count
yeah.
macronutrients, sorry, one second, even though I do count macronutrients to an extent, I also
Mhm.
count the micronutrients. And I think a lot of people step away from that and they're like, well, what the hell's a micronutrient? And I'm going to go into that in a further episode because I want to talk about
Mhm.
micronutrients and macronutrients. But don't just count
Yeah.
macros and calories only. Like, it's important to look at the overall picture. Oh, Robyn, your screen froze. There we go.
No. For good long health. Oh, you just paused too.
That's okay. Yeah, we just froze for a second.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now you're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Number 27. Hey, Nick, what are your top 3 favorite bodybuilders of all time?
Top 3 favorite bodybuilders of all time. Not favorite physiques, but favorite bodybuilders.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold's number 1 without a doubt because he paved the way for everyone else. So I'd have to give it to him. Second, Lee Haney. I love Lee Haney's look. I'm a big fan of the 80s bodybuilders, the 70s bodybuilders. Lee Haney was 8-time Mr. Olympia from, I want to say, 1984 to 1991. So he definitely had one of my favorite looks. And I'm going to say Jay Cutler for number 3. Cutler never had the best physique, but he had the best work ethic. So yeah, those would be my top 3. Arnold, Haney, and Cutler for sure. 100%.
No, 100%. Okay, number 28 and the final question. Hi, Nick, what is the best time of day to work out?
Any time of day. That's a pretty easy question. But no, okay, so some people will say, well, hey, you're going to burn more fat if you train first thing in the morning, or you're going to have more energy if you train at night. I tell people, first look at your lifestyle. If you're someone who works 9 to 5, you might not be able to train at 5 o'clock at night. Maybe you got to go pick up the kids from school or whatever it is. So maybe your only time to work out is going to be at 6 in the morning. Then that's the best time of day for you. If you're someone who knows you're not a morning person, maybe 5, 6 o'clock at night is best for you. For myself personally, because my schedule is fairly flexible, I get to train. Robyn and I can kind of train whenever we want to train. We'll sometimes train at 5. Well, no, we do, but sometimes we'll train at like 5 in the morning.
I have to go around my work and my doctors.
No, don't listen to her. No, we're flexible. I'm flexible at least, but
Sure.
I kind of go with what works with my schedule. So again, if you're following a good nutrition plan, you should be able to train at any time of day. I don't think training in the morning is any more beneficial than training at night, and vice versa. So I think if you're eating a good amount of protein, carbs, and fats, and you're fueling your body, you're getting enough rest, you're getting enough water, it shouldn't matter what time of day you're training at. You should get the same results.
Yeah. Okay. Das ist das. Done.
Perfect. Thank you so much for helping me with this today. I'm so happy that you were here because last week I had so much difficulty reading off my phone. Oh, man, I swear to God, it was terrible. So I basically need Robyn for help for everything. I'm useless on my own. So Robyn's back. the Q&A is back. Week 3 done, and it should be going up this, I want to say, Tuesday afternoon. So it should be going up Tuesday afternoon. But for now, thank you so much, and thank you, Robyn.
Word homes.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night.
See you.
Bye.